Few spirits capture the mystique, the reverence and feverish collector energy like the 1998 Pappy Van Winkle 23-year-old Family Reserve. Originally bottled in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky, this first release stands as an enduring symbol of bourbon's transformation from a dusty American relic to a global luxury icon. Today, I have 2 bottles of it right here, one to taste and one potentially to offer for sale. All right, as I mentioned at the top, tonight's a special night. We're going to taste the Pappy 23. And with me here tonight is a good friend of mine, Clayton, who's the owner of these 2 bottles. Do you want to do the introduction, mate, and bring the bottles on?
Here we have some very special Pappy 23s, mate.
Yeah, that's pretty rare to see one of them, let alone to have a second in person, even touching the bottle. It's like I'm sort of shaking it with the open one, let alone the unopened one. So we better not knock that open and break that, eh?
Yes, better not.
So tell me, Clayton, how did you come about those bottles?
Well, goes back, I think we originally obtained these back in about 99, obviously well before the whole bourbon whiskey craze has gone off. So my brother-in-law gifted me and a few of my family members one of these bottles each. So this particular bottle was given to my grandfather, and he passed away about 10 years ago. So to celebrate his life, we opened this particular bottle, and this is my actual bottle.
Did you have any idea at the time? Well, obviously, 10 years ago, they weren't worth what they are now, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But did you have any idea what they were worth at the time?
No, I think at the time we thought they were probably $100, $130 a bottle, which I'm not sure you'd probably know what they were worth at the time when they first came out, but definitely not this sort of crazy value that we're seeing with these now, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think from the research that I've done, I think they released at $199 US, and that was in 98 on this first release. I could be wrong, but that's the research that I have.
Yeah. And
it's sort of steadily grown. Now, this release is unique because it's the only one with the green glass and the gold wax, right? And it's actually at the old Lawrenceburg, Kentucky distillery before they moved to Frankfort, Kentucky in 99. And then they changed the packaging of it. So it went to clear glass and, just a foil top. So this is the unicorn. As far as bourbon goes, right, it's the absolute unicorn. And to delve into a little bit of the history, the story of Pappy Van Winkle bourbon actually starts with Julian Prentice Van Winkle. Now, he was referred to also as Pappy. He started his spirits career working for W.L. Weller and Sons. So you'd be familiar with the Weller name and the lineup.
Yep.
Through, time, the Sazerac company, which now owns these brands, acquired the rights to that. But there's a bit of a history behind that. So he started in 1893 as a salesman for W.L. Weller and Sons. And in 1910, he and Alex Farnsley acquired both W.L. Weller and Sons and the APH, I think it is, Stitzel Distillery. And the merger completed just after Prohibition, and that spawned the Stitzel Weller Company, which I think remained in existence until the 70s when that distillery closed down, and then somehow the rights were acquired by United something. I can't remember the name of the parent company that owned it, and then Sazerac bought the rights and started up the Buffalo Trace distillery, and the rest is history. So they acquired a bunch of names, a bunch of brands. So the Van Winkle was one, the Weller, the George T. Stagg, the E.H. Taylor, the Blantons, they all go back. So there's a history of all of them that goes back a long way. And Buffalo Trace has restored all of those historic names. But we have the unicorn of all unicorns here tonight.
Supposedly, yes. The daddy of all daddies, the Pappy Daddy.
That's it. So just for the viewers, the prices on these, as I mentioned, in 98, I think the price was about $199 US retail, and that's increased over time. The record price for one of these actually in 2024 went to auction at New York Sotheby's. You know how much it went for?
Please tell.
$52,500 US for one of these bottles.
And we're about to have one now, are we? We're about to have some now. All right, I might just have to take this one.
It's the open one. It's the open one, which is obviously diminished in value quite significantly since you've opened it. But this one, no, I'm not suggesting we open that one. That would be pretty silly. Prices today, there's a listing here in Australia for $37,000. There's also a number of listings in the US for $30,000 US. Wow. And private brokers have been, conducting sales or brokering sales of this whiskey this year for between $20,000 and $30,000 US. So
crazy.
It's nuts the price that this is. So,
do you know how many of these did they ever release from this year?
The research that I've done, it's up to about 2,000. So initial reports were that there may have been, only about 1,400. But as you can see by the bottle numbers, so the one that you've got opened is bottle number 1397 and the unopened one is 1376. So the initial estimates were that there was only 1,400, right?
Right.
Which, if that was the case, would have indicated that this was right at the end of the run. But there's recorded sales with numbers as high as in the 1800s, bottle numbers. So it tends to align with about 2,000, but nobody knows for sure. And what they also don't know is they don't know what the mash bill was. It was kept secret, but we believe that it's more in line with the old Stitzel-Weller wheated profile as compared to the current day profile. So it's more it's a little bit more spicy than the smooth Pappies that are out there today, because there's a bit more barley in it compared to the current day recipe. Neither here nor there, 23 years in, and you can tell by the colour, it's really, really dark. So what do you reckon? Do you have a taste?
I reckon it's time to have a bit of a taste of and see if it lives up to the hype.
Yeah, all right. So we might just protect this one and just put him up here away from any flailing arms or clumsy hands. And I might actually let you do the honours and do the pour. Seeing you are the man with the juice. That's quite a generous one. It's all right. For those of you watching on, there's at least $1,000 if you sort of equate.
I'm a generous bartender, aren't I?
Equate the value across the depth of the bottle. But have a look at the colour. That's incredibly deep and rich.
Very nice on the nose.
Yeah, so we are going to cheat here, and we do actually have some tasting notes. There's no point tasting a unicorn icon like this without actually having some idea what we're smelling and tasting.
So what are they telling us we should be smelling here?
On the nose, they're saying rich oak and antique wood polish. Now,
Wood polish.
I'm not sure about the polish aspect, but I'm definitely getting oak. I can
Yes,
smell the wood. 100. Now, dried cherries, figs, and dark cocoa. I can get the cherry. I'm not sure I'm getting fig or cocoa, but
No.
red fruit, definitely dried red fruit. I'm getting that.
Fruity.
Oak.
There's some fruity there and oak.
And it's also saying vanilla bean, pipe tobacco, and saddle leather. So, so there's obviously some pretty imaginative dudes that were penning the tasting notes on this one. I can probably see the vanilla, but I'm not sure about tobacco.
I say personally, I don't. When they, you'll read about stuff.
Yeah.
You'll get all these notes out of different whiskies, and
Yeah.
I generally struggle to. You can hit some of those, but yeah, a lot of the more intricate ones.
It takes time. I think early days when I got into whiskey, it was like they all smelled the same. But over time, you develop a nose, you develop a palate, and you pick up different things. So for me, I'm not getting everything that they're listing there, but I am getting some of those. I'm probably getting the other one there on the fourth line is they're saying hints of cinnamon and clove and dusty library books. I mean,
Dusty library book.
who's writing this description, honestly? I can pick up a little bit of clove in it.
How much for dusty library books?
Yeah.
We have 30,000.
Well, that's obviously just going to increase the dust on it, increases the value, you see. All right, maybe
We do a taste.
do a taste. That's pretty intense, the flavour. It's more oily than you would expect, and you can see by the legs running down the rim of the glass. More oily than you'd expect from a whiskey, generally, at this proof.
The tasting notes we should be getting.
Well, it's telling us toffee, burnt sugar, and molasses. I think definitely those sugary notes are on the burnt or heavily caramelised side. Like some bourbons, you're going to get, toffee and brown sugar and molasses, but they're probably soft and light brown sugar type, but this is definitely dark. So this is really on the intense side from a...
Yeah, there is a brown, burnt sugary kind of...
Yeah, for sure. The other thing it's saying is, black tea tannins. I do, like there is that sort of black tea sort of note in there.
Roasted pecans and dark fruit.
Yes. No, I'm not getting the peak. I'm not getting any nuttiness out of this, but I'm definitely getting, the burnt sugar and tea sort of flavour profile.
So my palate's obviously evolved in recent years, especially after getting to know you and being introduced to many whiskies. So I haven't drank this for at least over 12 months. I haven't had tried it, and it's better than I last recall.
It's not like let's be clear, right? People who are buying this are not buying it to drink it, right? I don't think it's just circumstance that allows us to actually taste this, right, and demonstrate to the viewers that this is a real whiskey and an icon. It's not something that people are going to be buying to drink, I wouldn't imagine, right? This is a trophy that will sit on somebody's bar, somebody who can afford to have a trophy sitting on their bar. So, but it's a great experience to actually try this, and thank you very much for coming on. What we are going to look to do is obviously see how this all plays out and potentially find you a buyer for this, because from what I understand, you're not a man that's going to have a massive whiskey collection yourself.
Not like this, no.
No, but like I'm not even at that level, right? Like I don't have a bottle that's even 4 digits, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not in the class of spending that sort of money on a bottle of whiskey. So
I'm still feeling some heat.
yeah, it's definitely warming. The 95.6 proof, so it's not
Crazy.
It's not way up there from a cask strength type whiskey. It is a proofed down bourbon. It would have gone into the barrel, in the 120s, which is typical, and they would have proofed it down to get that, because that's the standard proof that they release all the Pappies at.
But it definitely holds more heat than you'd think from 48%?
Yeah.
There's definitely a spice there. But yeah, some of these notes that they talk about, I don't quite get.
Yeah, so the other stuff they're saying, black tea, tannins, roasted pecans and dark fruit compote, layered spice, nutmeg, cracked pepper and old cedar, subtle wheat sweetness, balancing heavy oak. Now, I can actually get some of that sweetness, and having drank, a fair few wheated bourbons before, you tend to recognise that characteristic in the whiskey, and it is typical with that. So you can tell it is a wheated bourbon. So
the pepper side of it?
Yeah.
It has got a bit
It does have that spice, right? Definite spice in there, and that burnt sort of sugar.
Yeah.
Not like really burnt and black, but, that deep caramelised, and even the colour. Yeah. It's been 23 years in a wooden barrel, and at least 27 years in the bottle. So this whiskey was probably distilled 50 years ago, right?
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
It's almost distilled at the same time you were born, and only
thanks for telling my age.
only a few years after I was born, right?
Yeah.
So, it's been around for a long, long time. So it's definitely an icon. In terms of the finish, it is definitely long, it is definitely dry, and it is definitely warming. So I absolutely agree. I will actually put these tasting notes up in a graphic for those that are interested. We're just sort of reading it and cheating on this one. We need to pay it the respect that it deserves, because, this might be the only opportunity I ever get to taste a whiskey of this sort of status. So give it all due respect. So it's also, the finish, they're saying lingering notes of charred oak, espresso and bitter chocolate, faint echoes of dried apricot and leather. I mean, where's the faint echoes coming from? I mean, we've got a poet that's obviously written this description. And tannic grip with a whisper of vanilla and spice. There is tannins there for sure. It's like a wine with the tannins that you're getting in this from some degree. And that's obviously the amount of time that it's spent in the barrel. So this one, it's definitely an experience. So thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Birdman.
No, that's, mate, anytime. Hopefully I can have you involved in a few more videos in the future. We'll see what happens, eh?
Probably won't have as many Pappies to share.
No, definitely not. But I think you got to ask yourself, how many people on earth will ever actually own an original Pappy Van Winkle 23? The 1998 is the original, right? They release it every year, and they release, I'm not sure how many, but I think it's nearly up to 10,000 a year now.
Yep.
This was a limited run, and estimates are that there may be as little as 200 bottles left of this. Some estimates suggest that there might be, 400 or 500, but nobody really knows. I think the bulk of them are in private collections now, but how many people are ever going to own one of these? Not many, like fewer than the owners of, for example, the 1986 Fleer Michael Jordan, number 57. Now that is an absolute unicorn, as is the vintage Rolex Daytona. So this is the class that's in, right? Bottle number 1376. This is 1397. That is 1376.
And I know you've done your research. So in regards to the characteristics for a 98, they say It's the gold wax, the
green bottle.
The green bottle.
Yep.
Obviously, we're Lawrenceburg, wasn't it? That
Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. Yeah, there it is.
That's the distillery.
Yep.
Whereas the later ones are...
Well, they moved from Frankfort to Frankfort. So, yeah, Frankfort, Kentucky. You know, this bottle 1376, this really is a golden ticket to bourbon immortality, right? It isn't just a whiskey, it's a passport to legend status. Blink, and you may never get another chance at one of these. And by the time you finish watching this, someone else may actually own the bottle that you've dreamed of for all your life. So reach out to us on the channel, in the comments, whatever. If you're interested in talking to Clayton about it, I know that you're keen to see what you can get for it. Obviously, it's got to be the right offer, but happy to be part of that, to facilitate that, promote it. If anybody's interested, please reach out. I can put you in touch with the man and you can have a conversation. In summing up, not often you get an opportunity like this in life to taste something of this stature. This is the absolute icon of American whiskey. Some of the Scotch whiskies have 60, 70-year-old whiskies. Some may argue that they are, well, this is only a 23-year-old. You know, how does it compare? But they're different beasts, right? Bourbon doesn't lend itself, because of the climate, to staying that long in barrels. Scotch is in a cool climate, so it can actually mature very slowly. Kentucky, very hot in summer. So 23 years is probably equivalent to 70 or 80 years for a Scotch whiskey. So this is right up there with them, right? It may not be up there with the price of, you know, a 60 or a 70-year-old Macallan, which are some stupid prices, but this one here, it's the best the US has. So like and subscribe, comment. Love to hear a comment, what you thought about this, what you'd be prepared to pay Clayton for it. Share this with your friends. Until next time, this is Birdman's Bar and Grill. And cheers and thank you, my friend.
Thanks for having me.